In January of 2021, a neighbor of mine was arrested because he's a predator. I didn't know the man, Joseph D. Foster. He lived 8 houses over, which is close, but we just never crossed paths. Given the circumstances, that makes me happy. Foster went on Snapchat and befriended a 13-year-old girl living in Tennessee. He manipulated her, coerced her, groomed her, and eventually drove there twice to spend the night with her in a hotel. But that wasn't enough for his sick mind. Eventually, he went and abducted her, bringing her back to his house in Iowa. He hid her in his basement and assaulted her repeatedly. He said, quote, they had sex because it was, again quote, consensual. But let's be clear, a child is absolutely unable to consent to such an act. It was assault, and Foster knew this. He knew what he was doing the whole time because he paid for hotel rooms in cash and had the girl dye her hair after he picked her up. He knew not to use credit cards, and he changed her appearance. Foster knew what he was doing was illegal, immoral, and wrong. Here's the kicker. Foster wasn't an angry loner. He wasn't a dude standing at the edge of a playground wearing a trench coat or an incel. He lived with his ex-wife, who was pregnant with their child while all of this was going on. An odd situation, yes, but one usually driven by financial needs. Apparently they split the house. She lived upstairs, and he lived in the basement. She never went down there, so she never saw the girl. She did, however, say she caught him chatting online with underage girls, and she believed he had compromising pictures of kids on his computer. Why she didn't report him is a viable question, one we will probably never get the answer to. But to say she is responsible for part of this is not out of bounds. Instead of divorcing him, she should have alerted authorities. My family lives in a nice suburban neighborhood in a moderate-sized town. The subdivision is solidly middle class. The houses aren't big, but they're homes. Fences, dogs, kids. Kids playing outside all summer. Just like when I was young. In fact, last year, my wife and I rarely knew where our daughter was. She would leave and head to a friend's house, and from there, a gaggle of little girls would wander around the neighborhood doing whatever it is kids do until dinner time. The parents here all love it because it means kids aren't on screens constantly. But then something like this happens, and your bubble of innocence and ignorance is burst. Suddenly, the idea, things like that don't happen here, becomes a lie you tell yourself in order to sleep at night. My daughter's best friend at the time lived about a block away. My daughter and her best friend would constantly walk back and forth between the 2 houses within striking distance of the predator's house. Sometimes they'd be a pair, but more often than not, it would just be one of them, alone. I'm not sure how to phrase this next part because it's awkward, but luckily, this particular predator wasn't a Silence of the Lambs Buffalo Bill. He didn't covet what he could see every day. He went online to fulfill his perverted desires. That's actually where most predators hang out these days, online. They hide in chat rooms pretending to be other kids. The police, the FBI, every law enforcement agency out there says predators are all online now. We keep kids inside to keep them safe, but that's where they're most at risk. Still, I wonder if Foster ever looked out his window, saw a child, saw my daughter or her friend, and ever thought about acting right then, right there. I wonder how close my family came to tragedy. We all live blissfully ignorant lives. The best and worst of humanity live right atop one another at all times. We just don't see it. Even if we understand danger is out there, even if we know evil exists, we tend to put it out of our mind. Anytime we drive a car, we could be in a fatal accident. Cancer strikes randomly. 18,000 people die every year just by slipping and falling. Everything happens elsewhere to someone else until it happens here, to us. A story like this, something so very close to home, brings the fragility of life sharply into focus. My kids still play outside, and they still wander around on their own. I won't live in fear, but I will do my best to be aware. I refuse to instill fear in my children, but I will do my best to teach them caution. That's the best I can do, because if I don't believe there is more good than evil in the world, what's the point of living? If we as a society don't believe there is more good than evil in the world, we've lost. If you like my nonfiction storytelling, I have 3 nonfiction books available on Amazon. Just search up Nathan Timmel on your app or browser. If fiction is more your speed, I do have one work of fiction on Amazon. It's called We Are 100, and it's a fast-paced thriller. FBI procedural. Good guys, bad guys, a quick fun read. We Are 100 is also available as an audiobook wherever you download your audiobooks from. Audible, Google Play, Apple Books, everywhere. If you'd like to learn more about me, visit nathantimmel.com. Finally, it's a bit cliche, but a quick reminder, liking, subscribing, and sharing really helps the algorithm. Thanks for listening.